All right, it's Wednesday, so what the fuck? You were probably expecting to see Batman Returns today on this Wednesday. Yes, it is a Christmas movie. But instead, I saw that Full Moon Features streaming service has added Sorority Babes in a Slime Ball Bowl-O-Rama Part 2 to their lineup, and I couldn't pass that up. I've spoken on the original '88 version, Sorority Babes and a Slime Ball Bolorama 1, many times on this channel. I am a big fan of that movie. I like David Dakota in general. He did a lot of movies for Charles Band. One of the best Puppet Master movies and The Killer Eye, and he did the 1313 movies. If you're into all male erotica, I'm not, but I'm also not opposed to it. This is a long-awaited sequel that was announced way back in like 2010. I think there was supposed to be like the Deadly 10, and it was going to be this new slate of full moon features, and some have come out. And I remember not too long ago looking online to see if this was still being made, and it was in production, but nothing ever came of it. But here we are, and it's not directed by David Dakota. It's directed by Brink Stevens, who was an '80s scream queen. It features Michelle Bauer and Kelly Maroney, and it's pretty much what I expected it to be. It's essentially a remake of the first one, just with a couple added pieces. The original one is pure '80s sleaze. It was that perfect time period of the Linnea Quigley, Michelle Bauer, Brink Stevens, Monique Gabrielle, people like that, who were kind of the horror movie answer to the '80s. Tawny Katane style video vixen, even though she was in Witchboard as well. So she was a scream queen as well. And Dakota made Creepazoid first with Linnea Quigley, and I really like that movie. That's a fun one location, perfect snapshot of '80s video features, and then he would go on to do Sorority Babes, and then the kind of pseudo sequel remake is Nightmare Sisters. Nightmare Sisters I just saw for the first time a few months ago, and myself and two very attractive, very out of my league ladies sat down and reviewed it, but the footage just didn't look how I wanted it to look, so we're going to get back together and redo that one, and Burial Ground and some other ones too, because a lot of the plan was last year to start sitting down with some of my very attractive horror-minded friends and start doing reviews, and then life got in the way, and I wasn't able to kind of hold up my end of the bargain, so we'll be doing some of that stuff next year. But we talked about Nightmare Sisters, and it brought up, the thing that in those movies, those kind of USA Up All Night, those kind of Joe Bob movies at the time, you're in an age before the internet, and it was prime time for the Scream Queen, because you're in an era for horny prepubescent dudes to get to see boobs and butts and gore, and in that time I was that perfect age for that kind of kid. So there's a reason that these kind of crappy movies have a little bit more staying power for us, is because like it was the first time we'd ever seen boobs and bush and butts, in like that, and and even with when they would show them on Joe Bob or on USA Up All Night with Rhonda Shear, which was I used to love those on Friday nights. They would cut out all that stuff, but it was still salacious enough that you knew that there was something else there. So that when you finally got a chance to see it on video, all the Jim Wynorski movies and David Dakota movies and Fredo and Ray movies, you got to see them a first time, then see them again on video with all the shit that was missing now back in. And this Sorority Babes 2 is kind of the talking point through line for this movie. It is a throwback to that era of film, an era that we don't need anymore, because we do have the internet, and you can have all the murder and memories and murder memories that you want. That's actually, there's a movie called Killer Rack about killer boobs that you could watch on Tubi. It was directed by the guy who did Slime City, and it's just fun crap. But as we move away from needing that kind of thing as men and women who like looking at those kind of things, this movie is a snapshot of that, and you wonder why that era of scream queens went away, because now everyone on their phone can look at Pornhub or whatever. We don't need it like we used to. And But there's still something very charming about that era of film and that era of scream queens, and that people like Linnea Quigley were elevated to this status of horror icons because of it. The first movie and the second and the new movie are basically, like I said, the same. Where a there's a sorority, and they're the sorority babes in said sorority, and a bunch of horny dudes are peeping on the ladies, and they get caught. So the ladies, the mistresses of the sorority, are like, all right, we won't turn you into the police, but you got to go and get us a trophy, break into a bowling alley and steal a bowling trophy and bring it back to us. Okay, it was because in the original one of the actresses or the producer or somebody was related to the person who owned that bowling alley, so that's why they filmed there. And the new one basically takes that, but now Kelly Maroney from Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet. She's Snake, the sister of Spider, who Linnea Quigley played in the first one, who was like kind of like a punk, chick. She runs the Snake runs the sorority, and the sorority has a curse on it, they say. So nobody really signs up for it anymore. There's these two girls who have signed up, and the only reason they're keeping them around is because they need their dues to keep the place open. Then there's some dudes outside who put a camera in, like a very obvious webcam, in the bathroom, so they could see the girl showering, and then in the eye of a stuffed monkey, but it's like super obvious, like it looks like it could be like a stuffed Borg. And they're filming the girls dancing around and showering and stuff like that, and they get caught, and the people who run the dorm are like, you got to go and break into a bowling alley, and they're like, okay. And then there's a bunch of stock footage of Los Angeles and the girls walking at night in slow motion, and then they spend 40 minutes bowling and flirting, and it's a lot of padding, but it's a lot like the first movie too. There was a lot of padding before we get to the bowling trophy, and Impy, Uncle Impy, who is the titular, wish granting puppet imp monster. I do love that in this new one they did go with a puppet. They went with a very similar voice. Sort of sounds like the dude who was the voice of Audrey too in Little Shop of Horrors. You get, again, you have the original one had a long period of paddling scream queens' butts, covering them in shaving cream, and then the three of them are forced to shower together. In this one, they refuse to get paddled, and then the woman, the head of the sorority, asks if anyone has any allergies first to whipped cream before whipped creaming them, but it's really lame. And then they all have to take a shower together, like you do. And then they go to the bowling alley, and all this stuff happens, and every wish that the imp grants turns bad. This one had some funny ones in it, though. A dude wishes to be the world's biggest rapper, and you think, okay, he's going to be like, an Eminem type dude. And then when the wish kicks in, his arms turn brown for a minute, and knowing Charles Band's less than PC history, movies like Ooga Booga and stuff like that, I was like, oh no, where are we going with this? And then it turned out that he turns into a candy wrapper, a giant candy wrapper. And I went, all right, that's pretty fucking funny. And then the imp eats it, and he dies. And then the other dude's like, I wish I was so rich I had money coming out the ass, and then literally like start shitting money. And this one felt a lot like one of the Wishmaster, like 2, 3, or 4 type set pieces. Another woman wished that like she had a guy who was like really into her and her true love, and then she meets this dude, and then there's like a sex scene that looks like the one from The Room. It's shot like through the curtains and shit. And the song that starts playing, at first I thought was the Jefferson Starship song from Mannequin, like, and we can build this dream together, standing still forever. I'm a terrible singer, and I'm drinking Pedialyte because I'm dehydrated as shit. But eventually, when that dream goes bad, the two of them fuse into this guy-girl thing. And again, handled better than I thought Charles Band would handle that one, because I was like, oh no, I'm gonna I'm gonna have to worry about how I say this with certain people, certain contingents of my of the people who watch this channel are either on one side or the other side, and I'm in the middle being like, please, please. But it didn't go that route. The other girl knows that the wishes are no good, and she's like, oh, I don't want to make this wish or this wish. I wish I could live forever. And then she like gets impaled in the head with a bowling pin, and then she's a monster. It's the whole thing is ridiculous. You have a character who's obviously Snake's daughter, but she doesn't know it, and she's called like Itty Bitty or something like that, Itsy Bitsy Spider. And she wishes to know who her mom was, and then her mom turns out to be Kelly Maroney, who shows up and saves the day by trapping the imp in a fucking thing that the girl was drinking out the entire time because the bowling trophy was broken. I don't know. It was what it was. It was. I think Brink Stevens did a good job directing. It had nice color saturation to it, a lot of pastels and kind of 80s look. The sound quality was well done, considering it's a full moon movie. You're always kind of hit and miss when it comes to that. It sucks that they couldn't get Lana Quigley back. She appears in stock footage. There's a lot of stock footage, not like Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 level of stock footage, but it's still there. To go along with all the B-roll shots that they included. So it sucks that she wasn't in there, but apparently she was having surgery when they were filming the movie, so she didn't have a chance to come be in it, so they obviously brought somebody in to play her sister, was never mentioned in the first movie. It starts off with the Here in the Darkness song, which the original one starts off with. I don't know, I liked it for what it was. It goes back to that idea of there's a reason that these type of movies aren't as popular as they used to be. And while this one was self-aware and played with more modern, more PC tropes in it and mixes it all together, I've seen worse, and it was fun to see a sequel finally to this movie, and it sets up another one, and it had a dumb puppet in it, and it had girls having a three-way shower, and I don't know. The women in this one definitely. The biggest drawback probably is the actresses in this one. Much like a lot of the Full Moon stuff, they lack the of those '80s scream queens. The Michelle Bauer and Brink Stevens show up as essentially Force ghosts in this movie because they've been trapped inside the bowling trophy with Impy the entire time, and that's a little distracting, and it's like, oh man, look how old we've all got. Look how old I've gotten, my hairline. So it's one of those things where, we don't have those type of actresses anymore who were just fun epitomes of the 1980s VHS boom, So that was one of the big drawbacks is this one is they lack that screen presence. But that's what a lot of these movies, the Ginger Dead Man and the Killer Bong movies and all that. At least in the last Killer Bong movie, they got like Darcy from Joe Bob, and they got the woman who played Sybil in Baby Oopsie to come into it and play like the ultimate Karen. That one was actually pretty fun, But yeah, if you have Full Moon streaming, I would say check this one out, especially if you're a fan of the original one or you're a fan of 80s kind of Scream Queen centric, and I hate always talking about tits and gore, and everybody's like, oh, this is all he ever talks about. No, it's just a big part of my fucking upbringing was like being a horny little fucking idiot. Now I'm a horny old idiot, and I like seeing that kind of shit in horror movies. I say it in every video. The world's on fucking fire, and everything sucks. If you have something you could sit down and watch, this movie's an hour long, we could sit down and watch some dumb schlock for a little bit, and cleanse the palate. I went and saw The Fablemans the other night. It was a Steven Spielberg movie. It's an award-winning film. I watched the Peter Dinklage Cyrano de Bergerac movie the other night. Like, I watch good shit too, but like, who the fuck wants to see a 41-year-old guy sitting in his fucking kitchen talking about art when he could be talking about, like, oh yeah, this shitty movie reminds me of this shitty movie, and oh, there was this really cool kill, and oh, so and so's boobs were big. I don't know, like, that's the only reason people fucking watch this shit is for me to talk about that kind of stuff, or to tell me that I suck. So, well, whatever. I know I suck. You sound like my parents. But yeah, it's cool. I want desperately to get a chance to make Creepazoid 2. I have an idea for it and everything. So I would have liked David Dakota to come back and direct this, and but he didn't. And Brink Stevens did a good job with it, and it's cool to see a lot of these B movie actresses still come back. I said the same thing. Like, I didn't like the Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl or whatever, but it was fine to see some of those actresses, like those 80s and 90s kind of vixen characters come back, and you go, okay, they're still around, they're still in on the fucking joke, and that's the biggest thing, This ain't, I gotta win any fucking awards with this shit, and who the fuck wants awards, I want to make money and get to make more shit, So, man, what were we talking? I don't know. This one, again, I'm dehydrated, and and I've been dishing on shit online of late and being a little bit more honest because I've been sick. But we're getting away from that now, and we're not going to be looking back anymore. We're going to be onward and fucking upward, man. So Sorority Babes and a Slimeball Bolorama too. It's exactly what you think it is. It's B movie, single location, shot in a weekend probably, but it held my attention enough to be fun, and I want to see Charles Band continue to go back to some of the older features. I know they did like another Subspecies movie, another Castle Freak movie, and stuff like that, and they're doing Dr. Death and all that coming forward. So their movies are what they are. They're an acquired taste, but it does remind me of a different time and a different place of discovering these type of movies, and then falling down that rabbit hole and finding more of them, and and that's cool, and that's something I like, and maybe it'll make people go look at the original one. Let's do a gender swap one next time. Let's do sorority hunks, and bring David Dakota back for that one, and show guys what it's like to be exploited. I wish someone would exploit me. I was like, I want to start an OnlyFans where people pay me not to take any clothes off, But yeah, we need to bring back the days of fun video vixens and all that. And even though we don't need it anymore, it's like we don't. That's why Walmart has fucking all the automatic cashiers and shit. We don't need it anymore. Like movie theaters, we don't need them anymore. We have streaming, but it's still nice. Comic books, I can read it online, but I like holding it in my hand, So there's always going to be a time and a place for this kind of stuff. And I have rumbled and rambled like a motherfucker because I didn't know what to say about this one, because it's the same movie again, but I just want people to go watch it and tell me what they thought about it, and go watch the first one and watch Creepazoid, and somebody tell Charles Band, let me make a full moon movie, dude. Like, I'd fucking love to make a full moon movie. I don't smoke pot, but I'll make you one of those fucking weed movies like you wouldn't believe. I already wrote a script for Hocus Smocus because I had nothing better to do one day, so I wrote fucking script. But yeah, that's it. Like, share, subscribe, and we're getting closer to 10K subs, and I'm going to do a video pretty soon, which is going to be piggybacking off of our GT85's video about mental health, and kind of talk about, some stuff that had gone on and where we are and where I am. And I got some videos shot out that are fun. And yeah, that's it. I'm going to go and rehydrate. Have a good one.